If candidates hate Workday, if the employees hate Workday, if HR people and managers processing and assessing those candidates and employees through Workday hate Workday, if Workday is the most annoying part of so many workers' workdays, how is Workday everywhere? How did a software provider so widely loved become a mainstay of the modern workplace? What's going on, everybody? In today's episode, we're going to be talking about some job seeker frustrations, why everybody hates Workday, some big time security news. Also, we'll get into some of the business things that are going on and some TikToks. Let's get into the video. Welcome back to the Textual Talk Podcast. I'm your host, HD. This is a solo video. I hadn't did a solo video in a while. This is days after our co-host, Cyber Shorty. Her birthday was yesterday. So she's been busy this weekend, and I just wanted to get something out to you guys since granted, I think I talked to y'all last week, but I want to stay consistent. I don't want to slack off. I think I missed like a week or two earlier in the year because I had a lot of moving parts. So I wanted to get back to speaking with y'all. But also, while I'm recording this, it's Super Bowl Sunday. Now, I'm going to give you my prediction, but I'm also going to give you what I think is going to happen. So I would probably say that I think the Chiefs are going to win. And I really want the Eagles to win, but I think the Chiefs are going to win. I think they are going to make sure the Chiefs make history and be the first team to actually three-peat and solidify Pat Mahomes' GOAT status. And I think with the way the Eagles organization has drafted around Jalen Hurts and gave him Saquon, I think they feel like that Eagles may be there again someday, and they'll probably win one, or Hurts will win one. Because, it's his second time back, I think, within 2 years. And he played good in the first one. I think he'll play good this time. I think what it's going to also boil down to, and I know this ain't a sports podcast, guys, but I actually do watch sports. Well, only the games I care about. They're going to have to pick their poison. Either they're going to shut Jalen Hurts down, or they're going to make Jalen Hurts beat them by shutting Saquon down, which no one's been able to do the whole year. But the Chiefs will probably do that because they have one of the all-time best defensive coordinators who's bested Tom Brady twice in Super Bowls and everybody else. And also, so Jalen Hurts. So they're probably going to make them say, okay, cool, we're going to make you run, we're going to make you throw. Now, granted, Jalen Hurts has the offensive weapons to do that with A.J. Brown, Swift, or is it Smith? I don't know, Swift or Smith, whatever his name is. And Dallas Goedert, I think that's his tight end. And whoever else is on there. I don't watch the Eagles that much. So I think it's going to be a good defensive game. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be like something like 24-17, 28-21, 28-23, something like that. I don't think it's going to be like crazy numbers. But Mahomes has just been there too much. That's why he's probably so pedestrian sometimes during the season, because this is what he plays for. So I think they're going to let them win, and then that's when we're going to start seeing the next narratives that we got to start building up with, like whenever Lamar, Josh, when they're going to get there, and all this other stuff. But I know y'all didn't come here for that. But if you are still here, please like, subscribe. Most of the people who watch the videos are not subscribed, so please subscribe, man. We're trying to be on the road to 100,000 this year. So share this out, and we're trying to always bring you valuable content. So I watch a lot of content and listen to content for career coaches and other things, and I have consultations. And there are a lot of different things that I experience when it comes to talking to people in consults all the time. They run into the same issues, but I also want to do a little bit more comprehensive search and see what are job seekers struggling with in 2025. So what I'm going to do is I'm sharing my screen, and we're going to go through some articles, and I'm going to read what's happening. But then, since it's solo, I'm going to actually probably show you how to mitigate some of these things. And after we do that, that's when we'll get into some of our fun security stuff, and then maybe get into some TikToks. This video is being sponsored by Textual Consulting. Are you still struggling to get into cybersecurity? Are you not getting interviews? Do you have a bad resume? Or is it all the above? Well, if that's you, then we got you covered at Textual Consulting. My name is Henri Davis. I'm a career coach and a cybersecurity professional, and I've helped hundreds, maybe even thousands of people get into cybersecurity with my coaching and my content that you've seen in various places. Now, I specialize in specifically getting people in the blue team. That would be incident response or SOC analyst. I can cover everything from your entry level to your medium to your advanced skills, and really help you outperform your resume. You don't believe me? Check out some of these testimonials that I've had from recent clients. So if you're interested, click the link in my bio techtualconsulting.com/offerings to see what offerings that we have available for you. Now, back to the show. So here's an article that I saw and I thought it was pretty cool. So it was titled like Top Frustrations Holding Job Seekers Back. 44% are fed up with not hearing back from employers. 42% says salaries are too low. 35% think jobs requirements are overly demanding. Can't find positions that match their skills or let down by ghost jobs. So these things are not anything specific to 2024, 2025. They've been happening for a while, but I think now as companies try to lean up and try to make sure they're getting the best candidates, that these are some of the issues that people are running into. Not hearing back from employers. This is a big one. You'll get sometimes to the final rounds or something and never hear anything back. And it's like companies have, I don't know, there has to be a way that they don't maybe have to give you feedback, but it's like we're scheduling time at our busy schedules to interview you guys. You guys, the least that you can do is have someone reach out to us and tell us at least, hey, we didn't get the job. And if possible, 2 or 3 sentences of like why they went with somebody else and what we can do to get better. That's the least, because you're asking us all these questions during the interview. Like our end goal is to find a job. So please help us with that. Now, when they say jobs are too low paying, I can't really identify with this more so in the sector of work that I'm in. Now, granted, I don't know what everybody is looking for. So depending on what region and where you're at, there can be low paying jobs. I have seen some roles that are paying too low. And I'm like, that's why it's open and you're not going to find anybody for their amount for what you want to work for. Because matter of fact, I actually have a scenario that happened is, let me go solo. So one time I was interviewing for this role. It was an IR role. And on the role, it said they want somebody that had 10 years experience. So if you want somebody with 10 years of experience, that's going to come with a bag. The minimum up 10 years going to probably be 165, 175, right? These people were not even looking to pay, like even starting off, like I think the max they want to do is 150. And on the phone with the recruiter, I just told him, I was like, yo, this is unacceptable. Like, matter of fact, I think I talked about this in another podcast episode, but I was like, it's a waste of time. Here's one that's not on there. Job searchers also hate that you're not putting the job salary range on the job description, therefore wasting their time when they get into the screening call with the recruiter and the salary is super low. Some companies are doing this on purpose. And I say that because they know if they put the range up there, nobody's going to apply. If you told somebody with 10 years, unless they didn't have no job for 2 years, that, hey, they were barely going to pay $150K, nobody's going to apply for that. Like that level of experience, it costs. And that company that was hiring for that is in a field where I know they could pay that amount. And where they were trying to pay it in a certain area, I was like, no way. You regularly want a person that's, 2 to 4 to 5, 6 years, not 10 plus. 10 plus years people most of the time are on that principal, lead, manager, director, those type of roles. So you're going to have to come with it. So with that being said, let me get back into sharing what we was looking at. Present. The prevalence of job scams. Now, what I would say about job scams is, I think I had it in my Discord, and I ran into this a couple of times with clients. Emotions, right? We all want to make money, we want to take care of our family, we want to take care of ourselves. If a company is offering you a job that is paying you much more than you ever made and it's super easy, it's most likely a scam. Granted, this is different from this actual reputable company. You talk to somebody from the actual company, and you got real documentation that they're going to pay you. I've seen where people saying, hey, no experience or whatever. Hey, just answer this questionnaire and, you got the job for 60K or whatever it is. And they're like, hey, man, you think this is legitimate? And then I just start looking into the company and start looking into the scams around us and say, no, this is not legitimate. A lot of these companies will say, okay, hey, we're going to need to send you your work from home equipment. And they'll give you this check, and where they're trying to like do stuff to your bank account. It's all a scam. And while I'm talking about scams, now this topic I'm going to bring up is not on here, but there is these other scams with multi-level marketing. And I'm going to do a whole live stream one day about my experience with it, and we're going to get people to call in about it. But this is something that also happens with the job market. On LinkedIn, to be exact, people had their green banners on. You'll have these people reaching out to them, asking them about do they want to become business owners? They want to own assets to make money, all these different things. The whole time knowing that they are trying to recruit them for MLM activity. And we all know that most people do not make money in those. So if people are ever using very specific or broad type of words, or listen, if you're not even sure they're trying to recruit you, shoot me a message on LinkedIn, email me. The email to the share mailbox will be in the description. Email us, and I will tell you if I think it's legitimate or not. Because you have to think about this. I don't go up to random people and ask them, do they want to get in business with me? Or I'm recruiting you to work. That's not how that typically works in the business world. So that's red flag number one. Number two, yes, it costs to start your own business, but you can start your own business on your own, buy your own domain, getting your bank account, all these different things. If you're not doing those things to start a business, then it's a red flag number two. You're becoming a glorified contractor. Number three, if you have to do this job, you have to pay this money to sign up for something, and then you are going to, in a couple of weeks, become an expert at whatever you're selling. And you got to do these meetings a couple of times a week where you got to bring people. Red flag number three. Now, that's surface level information. When we have the real live and talk about our funny experiences with this stuff and how it preys on the psychology of human people and how they use certain words like dreaming and assets and millionaires and retired and mentors, when they start talking about all that stuff, it's going to get deep. So I just want to throw that out there. Not finding a job at a company they're interested in. Now, what do you mean by that? I get it. It is fun to work at a company to where like what the company does interests you and you know that you're contributing to that. But at the end of the day, a job is a job. So I don't really care too much about that. Lengthy submission application processes. This is one that's going to get its own separate subject. Matter of fact, let's get to it. So lengthy submission application processes. Now, many of you are familiar with Workday. Workday is such a pain. So I'm going to read an article about why people don't like Workday, but then I'm going to find, I think I found a guy on LinkedIn who's like a UX researcher. He was talking about what people don't know about it. So let's go to that article real quick. So everyone hates Workday. Now, Workday on the back end as an actual employee is great. It shows you your benefits, who does what in the organization, all these different things like for your health benefits, where you can do this and do that at, set up your goals, apply to jobs, all that cool stuff. But for the person that the applicant, man, if people use Workday almost every time, you got to create a new account and then apply. It doesn't parse your resume the best way. So you still got to enter in information. And you have to, now granted, imagine applying to 10 to 20 jobs a day that use Workday. That can really take, now granted, I'll show you a trick that I use. I use things like Dashlane where I can automatically just make me a new account. And if you use Windows and you've been applying to jobs for like, a straight hour and it's not parsing your resume right, just use Windows Control V. Actually, no. Use Windows V to pull up your clipboard. And then that's what you can figure out what you want to put, like paste into that's when you're pasting to the details field when it's asking you what jobs you work. And so that can kind of speed up some stuff, but it still takes like forever to do it. But I want to read this article from Business Insider. Everyone hates Workday. If you've hunted for a job in the past decade or so, you've likely encountered the following obstacle course. Applying to a desired role online, you greeted with a login prompt. An employer is asking you to create a profile to apply. Annoying, but you go ahead. You're given a long form to fill out with the information that's already on your resume. Facts. In a world where we can all attach PDFs, this seems unnecessary. But the form prompts us to autofill the entries if you simply drag your resume over. And oh crap, it loads all wrong. Now, I've never read this article before, but everybody is living the same life. Your address is truncated. It's where your college degree should be. It's a mess. You find it easier to delete it all and manually type it in each entry. How obnoxious. Soon after applying to a different job at a different company, you click through and see the same form. You recognize a logo at the top of the page, a blue W with the yellow arch cresting above it. Is the archer, geez, you set up a user ID to apply to the previous job. So this should be, it wants an entirely new ID, new our company, new profile, new form. Surely it say your application entries from the other job, right? Nope. Does the autofill work this time? Of course it doesn't. Another half hour of formatting and you're done with the application. And so done with whichever confounding organization decided to execute these tasks this way. Then you find another job opening, and no. So the logo is a frown. Now, as you can see, this is a psyche that can start making you mad when you're trying to apply to jobs. The company devising this torture that is the modern job application is called Workday. Since 2006, Workday, which provides software for payroll, talent management, and expense processing, has been making a mint creating misery where painless processes could be. More than half of Fortune 500 companies use Workday to pay, hire, onboard, and administer benefits to their employees. Clients range from Netflix, Goodwill, Spotify, Washington Post, Chick-fil-A to Ohio State University. Trillions of dollars in revenue and tens of millions of employees are at the mercy of Workday's back. Our employees are at the mercy of Workday's back end, people making management software. The company is worth $70 billion, a market cap greater than that of FedEx, Nintendo, or Honda. Few seem happy about this. LinkedIn, Reddit, and Blind abound with enraged job applications and employees sharing the tales of how difficult it is to book paid leave. I don't even know what this word is. Oh, how Kafka-esque it is to file an expense, how nerve-wracking it is to close out a project. I simply hate Workday. F them and those who insist on using it for recruitment. One Reddit user wrote, everything is non-intuitive, so even the simplest tasks leaving me scratching my head, wrote another. Keeping notes on index cards would be more effective. Every HR professional and hiring manager I spoke with whose lives are supposedly made easier by Workday described Workday with the sense of cosmic exasperation is like constantly being bot smacked by bureaucracy incarnate, said a copy director at an AI startup in San Francisco who had the misfortune of having to hire contractors through Workday. He went on, getting someone onboarded using Workday is like trying to get water from your sink to your stove using the colander. The X account, Workday failing track memes, and news articles describing workers and companies suffering within various circles of Workday hell, from Amazon, failed migration of Workday in 2021, the stock dropped by 7%, to an ongoing class action lawsuit that alleges Workday uses AI to discriminate against candidates based on race, age, and disability. We believe this lawsuit is without merit and deny the allegations. You know what? We might go on a deep dive in a second after reading this article. Let's see. Workday does not have the oversight or control of our customers' job application process. If candidates hate Workday, if the employees hate Workday, if HR people and managers processing and assessing those candidates and employees through Workday hate Workday, if Workday is the most annoying part of so many workers' workdays, how is Workday everywhere? How did a software provider so widely loathed become a mainstay of the modern workplace? All right, so I know this is going to be a super deep dive of Workday. So I'm going to skip through this. Okay, so it's actually at the end. Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, I'm not reading this whole article, right? I think that just bears some credence on what I said, but let's have some fun here. Okay, so I didn't know this was a thing. So let's see what it's talking about here. Workday must face novel bias lawsuit over AI screening software. And I'm going to an article because I doubt we want to read the whole case. A federal judge in California has rejected Workday's bid to dismiss a proposed class action claiming that the artificial intelligence powered software the company uses to screen out job applicants for other businesses bases existing biases. In the first ruling of its kind, U.S. District Judge Rita Lynn on Friday said that Workday could be considered an employer covered by federal laws banning workplace discrimination because it performs screening functions that its customers would normally carry out themselves. Lynn refused to dismiss several claims of 2023 lawsuit by Derek Mobley, who says he was passed over for more than 100 jobs at companies that contract with Workday because he is Black, older than 40, and has anxiety and depression. Now, in hindsight, this is so this is 6 months ago when this article was created. And so the lawsuit was pretty almost 2 years ago. Now we know it's a different time right now because of what's kind of going on with who is the president. And I wonder how much merit something like this would have now with them trying to say merit. But so that's what I'm thinking about now. It's like, I actually want to, you know what, real quick, let's click on this. Lynn dismissed claims that Workday intentionally discriminated based on race and age. She also ruled out that the company cannot be considered an employment agency under anti-bias laws because, unlike a staffing firm, it does not procure job opportunities for workers. A Workday spokesperson in a statement said the company was pleased that Lynn tossed out some of the claims. We're confident that the remaining allegations will be easily refuted as we move to the next phase where we'll have an opportunity to directly challenge their accuracy, the spokesperson said. Lawyers for Mobley did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The lawsuit claims Workday uses data on a company's existing workforce to train its AI software to screen for best applicants without accounting for existing discrimination that it may reflect. Mobley has accused Workday of race, age, and disability discrimination in violation of Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and other federal anti-discrimination laws. The proposed class could include hundreds of thousands of people. Now, I wonder if this is retroactive. I'm not a lawyer, and this is why I do plan on probably like getting somebody from like legal standpoint on here, especially does stuff in security. They do a lot of work with companies, especially when it comes to breaches and letting the public know things when you have to talk to shareholders and the public. But is this retroactive since this was in 2023? As you see, the last episode, we just covered how that's kind of like null and void right now when it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And also, I will say, I always say about court, it's not about what you know, but what you can prove. I don't know how you can prove that Workday is using the AI of the staff that currently works with them and pretty much basing that on applicants and saying, no, we don't want you. So I don't know how you could prove that yourself, but if they can, I would love to see it because people do not like Workday. Workday says it is not covered by workplace bias laws because it was not Mobley's prospective employer and it's not an employment agency that can be held liable for discrimination since it does not make hiring decisions for its customers. But Lynn on Friday said anti-bias laws were designed to broadly protect workers and prevent employers from forming out tasks such as screening applicants in order to escape liability, and that Workday could be held liable as an agent of its customers. The lawsuit possibly alleges that Workday's customers delegate traditional hiring functions, including rejecting applicants to algorithmic decision-making tools provided by Workday, wrote Lynn, an appointee of Democratic President Joe Biden. Now, this is the thing where job seekers are always talking about ATS, and I'm getting denied automatically and everything. And I believe this because I remember it's this hospital I applied to a couple times before. I applied to them one time. Let's say the time was 3 p.m. By 3:05, I was like rejected. And I was like, I know nobody looked at it this fast. And I think at the time they was using Workday. And so months later, I was able to see they got some new people in the org, and I reached out to them about my experience and why I think I could be a good fit. And so I actually got to talk to a person. But these are some of the things people are dealing with. Imagine you have to fill in all your stuff on Workday just for like 5-10 minutes later, you to get denied. Now, granted, people do deny you too, but sometimes we're like, it couldn't have been this fast. It couldn't have been because based on what's on the job description and what's on my resume, there's a match here. What's going on? The U.S. Employment Opportunity Commission, which enforces federal laws banning workplace discrimination, had urged Lynn to let the case proceed. In an April brief, the agency has warned employers that they could be held legally liable if they fail to prevent screening software from having a discriminatory impact. All right, so that's that. So cool. And before we move off of Workday, this was something like, where is it? This video is being brought to you by Course Careers. What's going on, guys? If you're looking to start your IT career, then check out the IT course at Course Careers, taught by none other than the great Josh Medical. I'm pretty sure you heard of him. But we all know that it could be pretty pricey getting into IT, and this course is very affordable. And also, if you don't want to pay back those student loans like I have to, then this is the course for you. So check out the Course Careers course. My link will be in the description. Use code TEXTUAL50 in order to get $50 off of your course and get started on your IT career today. So before we move off of Workday, I want to talk about this real quick. Workday job applications are frustrating. There's no question about it. A platform that many prefer is Greenhouse. The application form is simple and straightforward, but now I've never been a recruiter or worked in HR. So this is a good counterbalance to what we've been reading and talk about the last couple of minutes with a person who's in UX and UI. And so they pretty much design and user acceptance and work on those things to make sure stuff looks good for the user or the back-end user that's actually interacting with the applications. Something many who've never worked in recruiting or been a hiring manager never consider is not just the usability of the job application that affects your job search. Greenhouse's resume screening, filtering, applicant review experience is absolutely horrid. I even go so far as to say that due to its prevalence, it could be a surprisingly large part of what is broken with hiring. It works well until you have more than 50 applicants. Then it becomes a nightmare. There are other parts of Greenhouse I do like, but their top of the funnel experience really needs to be redone. It makes recruiting extremely difficult and ineffective. Point is, next time you spend all your time optimizing your job applications for easy and quick, consider that isn't the only part of the process causing you the most pain, whether you're aware of the source or not. Workday has a horrible application flow, but it is actually quite powerful and effective at managing large amounts of applicants. I much prefer it to Greenhouse in many ways. Note, there are many things about Workday platform that are very difficult to use. That wasn't the point. My point is just because the application processes are short doesn't necessarily mean it's better. The same can be said of LinkedIn's easy apply feature, but that's another post. He might be cooking with that one. He may be cooking with that one. All right, and now we almost through the list. Seeing a job reposted that they already applied to. This is a big one. Let's go further. Seeing a job reposted that you already interviewed for and didn't get. And so, two things. If you applied to it and then you got rejected, but then it came back up, it's okay. Can I apply again? Use a different email? What is going on here? And a lot of times, these companies did not pick the right person. I'm telling you guys, hiring is broken because most of the time, in order to get a job, you have to sell yourself. Now, a lot of times, selling yourself doesn't actually mean you're the most capable. It's like one of the things you could talk the talk, but some people cannot walk the walk. I'm a big proponent of job search processes really talking about, or job search processes really having you do not assignments where it's like very lengthy, but it's a thing where you do like maybe like it takes you about an hour, hour and a half to do, and it's an assessment pretty much, but it'll be something that you will probably do at work. That's the best way to gauge, can you do the job? Then after that, honestly, so here's my thing. After you do the assessment, I don't think you need to have another technical interview. You already passed that. That was the technical part. Now, let's see how your what you think, and how you match up with culture, and not the fake culture thing, but just like what they care about and like kind of management style that they like to run. So stuff like that, and if the people actually like to work with you. So that's when I say soft skills are important. But no, you see this all the time, especially in InfoSec. There are always jobs that are open like the year round, or they keep on posting them and saying, "Okay, I've identified y'all don't know what y'all doing, and it's really hurting you." So that's one. Not sure where to look for jobs. So this is a big one. There are different job boards. I see recruiters post them all the time. Now, for my clients, I'm always talking about LinkedIn, Indeed, and a big one that I don't talk about a lot is Google searching. So Google searching is huge when it comes to jobs because you can just type in, "Hey, yada 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 jobs," and then you could even go by your city, or you can do it in the United States, or you can do however granular you want to do it. You can do it in Google, and they'll actually give you some better outputs than Indeed and Google because it's pulling from a lot of times multiple job boards, actual career sites. Not being able to identify a hiring manager. Now, this is a big one. You could do some of this stuff on LinkedIn, far as not being able to identify a hiring manager. Now, you could do some of this stuff on LinkedIn as far as trying to find managers in a specific role or that team and see if they're the hiring manager. But sometimes you just don't know unless they state a lot of times, "Hey, I'm hiring for this. I'm the hiring manager." So this one is a little bit different. So a lot of times I'll tell people, if you can't find a hiring manager, let's try to find somebody that, works on a team and see if they can give you the hiring manager. And I did that before too. And I kind of want to show you all that stuff, but this is stuff I show clients. And I don't necessarily want to, I might try to do it. Right. I try to always wrestle with what I can show you guys and what I can't show you, not from because of gatekeeping, but do these people, kind of want to be on the platform of me saying, "Hey, they're hiring for this." But we may try to find it. And sometimes you got LinkedIn Premium, it'll show you directly who the hiring manager is. Okay. And this last one, formatting the application for ATS. Now, right here, I do think you should have an ATS friendly resume. That means where like certain systems, like for example, Greenhouse and other ones I've used, they parse my resume like this. Workday does not do it right. So you got to still go through and enter some stuff. However, ATS is not the end all be all to everything. People are talking about like all these ATS resumes and getting you interviews everywhere else, but your resume needs to tell a story and you need to be able to pass the interview. I like getting people interviews is the easy part for me and my clients. Now, if you don't believe me, a couple of my new clients within like days of us updating their LinkedIn, updating their resume, started getting interviews fast and recruiters reaching out quickly to them. And that's another thing too. When it comes to the job search process, a lot of recruiters can't find you because you have the wrong information on your LinkedIn account. So you gotta look like the applicant that they want to hire. But if you don't have the right stuff on there, how they gonna find you? That's what you need on there. And I'm getting ready to redo a video I did a couple years ago about how to get in cybersecurity. And I'm going to tweak it with how to get in cybersecurity in 2025, some roadmaps and some different things you can do from all different facets to help you guys out in that journey free of charge. And people right here says none of the above. So I can see where like a lot of the resentment and some of the stuff comes at where people say like it's hard out here. So let's try, for instance, real quick to find a job and see if we can find who's hiring for the position. I'll type the incident response, United States remote, and we have all these different positions things. So let's see if we can find somebody at these companies, right? Because I know that's what people deal with. Cyber defense engineer. Let's see. Um, cyber threat hunt engineer. Okay. So let's see some people you can reach out to. Let's see what they work at. So all these people work at CVS. So potentially I could leverage these people to like look up this requisition number and help me out. So that's one easy way. But so if I wanted to find somebody at CVS Health that either was threat hunt or a manager, one of the things I would do is I would go here. I'll go to people. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put threat hunt in quotes. Sorry, guys, I don't have my hands the best way when I'm typing. So I don't see anything for that. Let's do threat hunter. All right, so we didn't see nothing for threat hunt, but we see threat hunter. We got 6 people. She's a threat hunter. He does instant response, cybersecurity professional, threat hunter, threat hunter, threat hunter. So this is one way, right? Marcella, we're gonna look at this guy. And guys, this is free game. Like, you could probably find this if you Googled it. Now, sometimes these people actually, let's see, I don't know how often he uses. He don't look like he uses this that much. It's 3 months ago, yeah. So, okay, so he don't use this as much. So he may not be that helpful because he doesn't use this much. So let's go to her. She might not use it that much either. ReliableQuest, okay. I wonder if he came from ReliableQuest too. Seems like he did because he said RQ 1 year ago. She definitely don't use this. Let's see. Also, people you may know sometimes show you the same people that work at that company and you can find them. So, no, you could try to reach out to these people. Now, granted, they don't really use it a place a lot. All these people's pictures tell me they don't use it a lot. So, we got 300 there. That's not going to be good enough. Now, what if we do this? Security and manager. Now we probably got some people here. Cloud security right here. Senior manager, information security. All these different people. Security risk manager. So let's see how we could probably make this a little bit more specific. Let me see what type of things they got over here. What they do. Okay, so that's that. So we really only want people with this title in there. So what we might do is let's try this. There we go. Now this is much easier list. I'm not going through 1,000 people, but application security, threat management, senior manager, governance, technical. Now, granted, remember the job was threat hunting, so he's in the SOC, so he may be close to helping us find something. Let's see who else we got. Corporate security, endpoint Mac engineer. On a call or a live stream, I would actually go through this a little longer. So I'm not going to go all the way through this, but you guys get the what you call it, Michael Tully. So he's a senior manager there, and people's about a lot of times I kind of tell you a little bit about them. Lead a team of analysts and engineers who are responsible for protecting the company's network and data from cyber threats. Have over 15 years experience. Yada yada yada. SOC management, critical incident escalation, Siemens store engineering, cloud infrastructure security, IT project management. So he may be a person to reach out to if you're trying to find that. I'm not going to go any more deep into it, just for the fact that, I mean, right there, that's enough kind of even get you on the start of like, okay, I've been doing this thing wrong. And if you're still right here right now, if you need that kind of one-on-one help, I can help you out with that even better. Like you can ask my clients, look at the new website. I got a sheet now where I've actually been tracking the percentage of salary increase as well as the difference in salary increase. And like it's been crazy. I know the numbers, but now me just looking at them, when I'm showing them people, it's crazy. So if you need help with that, y'all know what to do. Look in the description. Okay. So now we got some security stuff to actually talk about. So one of the things is the biggest breach of US government data is underway. And for y'all don't know, Doge, these are people that aren't really federal workers, have access to American private information. And this is where data privacy comes in and data protection laws, like who should be able to access certain information of us. And so I think that this is going to spur what we've been talking about when it comes to, hey, there's no centralized way of protecting our data in America. And I think this is going to start it, especially when people start levying and legislation wants to get passed for that, because I do not think this is fair. People who have possibly never been through proper channels to get certain security clearances, how do you just look at, like, think about it. Do you think I should be able to look at all your information? Haven't had the proper training, clearances in that order? Because, for example, at my current job, we can see a lot of information from people that work at the company. We're given different ethics training, and where we just not going through and looking at people's emails and different things like that. All right, so TechCrunch says the biggest breach of U.S. government data is underway. Operatives working for Elon Musk have gained unprecedented access to the U.S. government departments, including agencies responsible for managing data on millions of federal employees and a system that handles $6 trillion in payments to Americans. During the first 3 weeks of Trump's second administration, Musk's group of representatives of Presidential Advisory Board, known as Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, has taken control of top federal departments and data sets, despite questions about their security clearances, their cybersecurity practices, and the legality of Musk's activities. Now, what I will say about DOGE, and this is one of the things that happens where these questions are asked about us in cybersecurity, is who polices the police? So if we are the police and we are doing our jobs, who is coming in to make sure we're doing our jobs correctly? And then that comes from like the big fours and everyone and other type of people that come in and they audit what we're doing with our SIM and our alerts and everything else, make sure they're up to certain standards or certain frameworks. So this has the potential to probably become a job that actually is governing how like the federal government is spending funds. But then it comes into, okay, who's governing those? So it becomes this like who's watching who type of things, and what are checks and balances? That's what I think that happens from all this. Whether a feat or coup, which depends entirely on your point of view, a small group of mostly young private sector employees from Musk's businesses associates, many with no prior government experience, can now view and in some cases control the federal government's most sensitive data held on millions of Americans and the nation's closest allies. The access by Musk Doge team represents the widest known compromise of federal government held data by a private group of individuals, and little has gotten in their way. Now, granted, I don't think this is a compromise because they didn't break in. They gave them the data. It's not a compromise. And when you work in incident response, we know that words mean something. So when we're dealing with something, we don't initially say, hey, we have a security incident. We may say it's a security investigation or we're looking into an issue before we deem something actually an incident, because that means, okay, what are we responding to? What's the scope of it? What's happening? So a compromise did not happen here. They didn't break in. They were handed this stuff. Doge has acknowledged few details about its ongoing activities. That tasks have been left to the media, which has reportedly questioned cybersecurity practices and a breakdown of long-standing cybersecurity norms that risk sensitive government data from being accessed by nefarious actors. Now, is Doge viewing this on federal systems? Has the data been imported on Doge systems? Are Doge's systems certified and protected enough to make sure attackers do not gain access to pertinent American data? And that's where we come in to play with this. This is just like when it comes to another TikTok and everything else. Is like, who controls the data? We need to know because we need to protect it. So far, the evidence suggests that security is not top of mind. For example, a Doge staffer reportedly used a personal Gmail. Oh man. Doge staffer reportedly used a personal Gmail account to access a government call in the newly filed lawsuit by federal whistleblowers claims Doge ordered an unauthorized email server. See, I haven't read the article, but I'm always validated by what's in articles after I said something. And so you guys could know that I know what I'm talking about. Has been connected to the government network, which violates federal privacy law. Those staffers are also said to be feeding sensitive data from at least one government department into AI software. And this is why AI is not widely adopted everywhere. In certain industries, we can't use AI because we don't know where our data is housed and what's happening with it afterwards. Because all AI is doing is getting all this information and building stuff off of it. So now if you start saying, let's say hypothetically you work at Capital One and you're putting Capital One pertinent information in AI. Now somebody goes into Claude, ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and asks a specific question about Capital One. And that has access to what a worker put into AI and stuff that the end user that doesn't work there shouldn't know. See how that goes? Whether those staffers are bad actors misses part of the point. Acts of subterfuge, espionage, or ignorance could produce the same suboptimal outcome, exposure or loss of the nation's sensitive data sets. For now, it's worth looking at how we got here. The ease in which those took over the departments and their vast stores of American data took career officials and U.S. lawmakers by surprise, who continue to seek answers from the Trump administration. Musk's efforts to take control of the nation's data stores also probably alarm cybersecurity professionals, some of whom have spent their careers in government dedicated to securing Americans' most sensitive systems and data. Questions remain about what level of security clearance the Dodge staff have and whether their interim security clearance gives them the authority to demand access to restricted federal systems on returning to office. Trump signed an executive order allowing administration officials to grant top secret and compartmentalized security clearances to individuals on an interim basis with little to no substantial vetting, a sharp departure from long established protocols. Right. Now, when I got my interim clearance, I had to fill out this equip and it was very detailed and it didn't happen quick. I think I signed a job offer in March of 2014 and I didn't get the interim until like May. And that was a long time to me. Some people went longer because they were older than me. At that time, I didn't have a lot of stuff connected to my, personal background or credit background that would prohibit me from getting the clearance quickly. So I'm not going to read all this because, like I said, you can read it on your own. Doge just take over of the federal government. Within a week of President Trump's inauguration and his executive order establishing Doge, Musk staffers began infiltrating a variety of federal agencies. The U.S. Treasury sensitive payment system, which contains personal information of millions of Americans who receive payments from the government from tax refunds to Social Security checks, was among the first. Doge has also gained access to the Office of Personnel Management, the government's human resources department that includes databases on personal information of all federal workers and USA jobs, which have data on applicants who apply to a federal job. Officials at the OPM said they had no visibility or oversight into Musk's team access to the systems. It creates real cybersecurity and hacking implications. Those activity has led to widespread opposition, including from some Republicans. Like I said, this is a big thing, and like I know we always try to blow stuff like out of proportion, but this is big. Data is king. Data is king. So I'm not going to go into that. That's like a really long article. Like I said, I know y'all like to be informed, but also entertained. And so that was definitely big. But I'm going to segue into another article where HPE had to notify breach victims about a Russian government attack. And now, before I get into the okay, now switch topics into one of our favorite things we talk about, breaches. Hewlett Packard Enterprise suffered another breach, so they had to notify data breach victims after Russian government attacks or government hack. Hewlett Packard Enterprise has begun notifying individuals whose personal information was stolen during the 2023 cyber attack, which the company blamed on Russian government hackers. HPE has so far notified more than a dozen individuals whose data was stolen in a cyber attack, according to a TechCrunch review of breach notice filed with at least two U.S. state general attorneys. The breach data included social security numbers with driver's license information and credit card numbers per filing with the state of Massachusetts. That's a lot. The breach relates to an intrusion beginning May 2023 into HPE's email mailboxes and SharePoint systems, referring to Microsoft SharePoint software that allows company to build internet portals, both of which were hosted by Microsoft. HPE publicly disclosed the incident in January 2024, confirming that the hackers exfiltrated the contents of a small number of its email mailboxes of some SharePoint files. HPE said the hackers used a compromised account to access internal HPE email boxes and our Office 365 email environment. HPE later told regulators that the stolen mailbox data predominantly belonged to individuals in HPE's cybersecurity go-to-market and business teams. When reached by TechCrunch, HPE spokesperson Adam R. Bars declined to disclose the total number of individuals affected by the breach, but said the access data was limited to information contained in the user's mailboxes, including some HPE employees and a small number of customers. Well, a small number of customers, a small number of customers whose information was contained in these emails. HPE spokesperson reiterated its attribution of the attack to a group dubbed Midnight Blizzard, which security researchers says is linked to Russian foreign intelligence services known as the SVR. Midnight Blizzard, also known as APT-29 and Cozy Bear, has been linked to a number of high-profile attacks, including the 2019 SolarWinds espionage campaign targeting the federal government. Microsoft also confirmed in January 2024 that its corporate network was compromised by Midnight Blizzard. Microsoft said that the Russian hackers targeted the email accounts of corporate execs, as well as senior staff working in cybersecurity, which Microsoft said was likely in an effort to learn what the company knows about the hackers themselves. Now, something we always talk about in this is that if your company does business with HPE, when something like this happens, then you say, okay, this is a third-party breach. So I wanted to cover third-party breaches real quick. So, third-party data breaches, what you need to know. And there's been an uptick of these things. A third-party data breach occurs when malicious actors compromise a vendor, supplier, contractor, or other organization to gain access to sensitive information or systems of the victim's customers, clients, or business partner. Third-party data breaches are becoming increasingly common as technology makes it easier for the business to connect and as a global supply chain grow in complexity. In fact, 61% of companies reported a third-party breach in the latest study, up nearly 50% in the last year and 3 times since 2021. As a result, organizations are often unable to visualize where their data goes, and proprietary or sensitive data can easily be shared with suppliers and subcontractors that the contracting organization knows little to nothing about. And that's facts. And this goes back into Doge and anything that we discussed on this podcast over the last couple of weeks. This is where GRC really comes in to be very powerful, because when you're onboarding vendors, you have to get them a checklist so you make sure your data is safe or what they have access to from your data. If not, you can find yourself hit too. What's more, third-party breaches are among the most expensive for organizations to recover from. Data from the 2024 IBM Ponemon Cost of a Data Breach report shows that the third-party breaches are the third highest predictor of increased breach costs, increasing costs by 5% above the average. This article examines why third-party data breaches are increasing, provides examples of prominent companies that were compromised by third, fourth, or ninth, I don't know what they're supposed to be, nth party vendors, and explains what steps you can take to mitigate the risk of your organization becoming a victim. Okay, let's see. This is a long article, so I might skim through it. Why third-party data breaches are increasing. The last decade has seen many large organizations investing heavily in information security. No system can be entirely secure, but heavy investments in cybersecurity make it far more difficult for malicious actors to compromise well-resourced organizations. Hackers are increasingly incentivized to target smaller subcontractors to bypass robust, well-funded cybersecurity programs. Compromising a small HVAC contractor and using that organization as an unwitting Trojan horse is far easier. Just say target. It's far easier to accomplish than directly compromising a Fortune 500 company with a fully staffed security operations center and several layers of security controls. This fact, you saw cybersecurity get more prominence since 2013 when the Target breach happened. Small businesses have consistently lagged in adopting robust information security practices, even though 43% of attacks target against them. This enables malicious actors to compromise smaller third parties and either steal data entrusted to them or hijack their access to sensitive systems at larger organizations. Third party data breaches can be extremely damaging and result in millions of dollars in fines, legal fees, and penalties, along with inordinate reputational damage. Now, I'm not going to read this whole article, but I do want to give you guys some examples because one of your questions in your interview, if you're trying to get into cybersecurity, how do you keep up with cybersecurity news? Are you familiar with the term third-party security incident? What would you do if an incident transpired? How would you scope it? Who would you contact? What would you do? And in these prominent breaches, you can go and read about them. This is when sometimes you figure out legal said this, legal did that, they did this in the breach, did that. You can find breakdowns of the breaches. So they already talked about Microsoft Midnight Blizzard. In January 2024, Microsoft security team detected an attack on its email systems, later identifying the attacker as Midnight Blizzard. The Russian state-sponsored actor known as Noblum. This ongoing incident compromised email accounts and data for U.S. government agencies and businesses. Hackers downloaded about 60,000 emails from the State Department alone. You should monitor for any critical updates to this incident, even if your account didn't get compromised directly. There's a good chance a third party in your ecosystem may have been. Microsoft is embedded into most organizations' technology ecosystem to the point that many have no choice but to trust them. We talked about United Health Group and Change Healthcare. Infosys, McCammons data breach. In 2024, Bank of America announced its customer data was compromised through. So this is the third party breach. Bank of America announced its customer data was compromised through an Infosys McCammons cybersecurity incident. The incident resulted in an unauthorized party being able to access certain customers' sensitive. The incident resulted in an unauthorized party being able to access certain customers' sensitive information, including names, addresses, business email addresses, dates of birth, social security numbers, and other account information. Recently, Infosys McCammons revealed in an update to investors that approximately 6.5 million individuals' information was subject to unauthorized access and exfiltration. All right, so this is a lot. This is cool. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I thought that was pretty cool that we had a breakdown and actually just show you guys some stuff about third-party breaches. And I think the last one I wanted to talk about was, and I might just read it. I might even share screen, but Cloudflare outage caused by a bot blocking the phishing URL. And I said that because one of the biggest things that you do, even though it seems can be small, is blocking phishing URLs in the environment. So let's see. In an attempt to block a phishing URL in Cloudflare's R2 object storage platform backfired yesterday, triggering a widespread outage that brought down multiple services for nearly an hour. Cloudflare R2 is an object storage service similar to Amazon S3, designed for scalable, durable, and low-cost data storage. It offers cost-free data retrievals, S3 compatibility, data replication across multiple locations, and Cloudflare service integration. The outage occurred yesterday when an employee responded to an abuse report about a phishing URL in Cloudflare's R2 platform. However, instead of blocking the specific endpoint, the employee mistakenly turned off the entire R2 gateway service. During a routine abuse remediation action was taken on the complaint that inadvertently disabled the R2 gateway service instead of a specific endpoint bucket associated with the report. The incident lasted for 59 minutes between 8:10 and 9:09 UTC, and apart from the R2 object storage itself, it also affected services such as Stream, Images, Cache Reserves, Vectorize, Log Delivery, and Key Transparency Auditor. I want to see what the URL was. Cloudflare notes that both human error and the absence of safeguards, such as validation checks for high impact actions, were key to this incident. The internet giant has now implemented immediate fixes like removing the ability to turn off its systems and abuse review interface and restrictions to admin API to prevent service disablement in internal accounts. Okay. Yeah, that's why I won't work serving because I'm like, I want to know like how did they do that? So I thought that was pretty cool. And there also was an article about Elon Musk saying that he had no desire to acquire TikTok. And I'm not going to share that one either. But I do think that's good too, because if all the same people start having like control the same apps, like for example, this is why Instagram isn't that good, because it's owned by Meta. If Instagram was owned by whoever first started it and made it, Instagram would be much better. Because all Meta does is like see what everybody else is doing and just throw it on their platform. And that's why it's not that good. Now, granted, I will say the platform I enjoy the most for Meta currently right now is Threads. It's an X variant, but it's better in the sense that the algorithm brings you to people that's closer to you, even though it doesn't have the user base to still like feel like it's on top of X. Like people still go to X to get all the information and all these different things. It's still much more popular than Threads. It's going to take years for Threads to try to get on a level playing field. And either it's going to be people get sick of Elon or what. But I'm glad that I think I saw something where it said Microsoft wanted to possibly acquire TikTok. Why? I don't know. I mean, yeah, it's, definitely you can make money from it, but they already got LinkedIn. Are they going to try to take things from TikTok and apply it to LinkedIn? Is LinkedIn going to finally start paying creators for using the service? Because I mean, there are influencers on there that definitely help people like stay on LinkedIn and help make content for LinkedIn and money. But that's kind of what I want to talk about when it came to that. I don't think he should get it. What y'all think? Y'all think y'all want Elon to get TikTok? I mean, he's kind of ran some stuff into X in the ground, and I'm like, oh my gosh, really, bro? Now, let me see if I got any TikToks that I want to share with us real quick. Give me a second. All right, so we got a video, and granted, this is not a tech related video, but in tech you can make high salaries, and people always think high salaries mean everything when you're working. So check this out.
Job in finance today, I was making $250,000 a year, and it's because of disrespect. I had a Zoom meeting today. I work remotely, and COO is there, CFO is there, CEO is there, president, and I start off leading the Zoom meeting, talking about the last quarter's financial report, and every single one of them is looking at a screen. And I think it's just, it's something with the times, something with technology, something with AI. Every one of them was looking at a screen. Chief operating officer, chief financial officer, big chief big storm cloud, every single one.
Now, what I'll say about that is I'm not so sure what he's not telling us. Now, he might see it as a slight or disrespect. So them looking at his phone, their phones or screen, whatever, he probably could feel like there's a way. But I wouldn't say I always said that was the first time. I just think it's stuff that he didn't say. I thought it was going to be much more to it. I mean, I don't care if you ain't paying this to me for that quarter meal. I'm sorry. Look at whatever you want to look at. Just make sure I get paid on time. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't care that much about I think that's the thing about me too. Like I get to the point now where I'm doing my job right here, but I don't like all the other stuff I kind of don't care about no more. Like I've been in long enough. I don't care about who likes and who don't and all this other stuff. Just don't say certain stuff to me, especially they'll never say in person. But other than that, I don't care, bro. I'm not gonna say he's soft, but that's definitely I don't know why that was something for him.
Guys, the IT and cybersecurity company that I work for is currently hiring 8 positions just for my team. So when I hear a lot of people talking about there's no jobs in IT, you aren't going to get any interviews, the job market is dead, and then I go to team meetings where I hear our team's increasing, doubling in size, it makes me think that you guys are misinformed. Don't give up on this journey, because I promise you eventually you will reach an organization that wants to hire you. Just keep going.
No, I definitely agree with that. if you are listening to everybody that's being so negative about cybersecurity or getting the tech in general, and most of the time that stuff stems with their own insecurities of not getting where they want to be, that can hinder your growth and progress and getting to the field. You need to be around people who are telling you the truth, but also saying, hey, it's going to work. I got videos about, hey, I applied to 100 jobs. They told me no. I'll do it all over again because I found the right yes. These things happen. There are times where companies, hey, they even get a contract or something happen, and they got to get a really big team. That's what happened when I got that job. The client need a new team, and they hired about so many of us on a new team, and I was selected. So you never know. So keep it up. Just keep your head down, do the work, get a good network, and I think you'll be all right. I really do. Now, let me see if I can find something to really deep dive on for sure. Let me see.
Here is why you need to cap in your interviews. Here is why you need to cap in your interviews. CAP stands for confident, assertive, and poised. The most common compliment that I get during interviews is that I'm extremely poised and that I have the confidence to speak to upper management as well as interface with customers. Here are my tips on how you can cap in your interview. First things first is it will never hurt you to overstudy for a position. Look at the job description, look at the skills that are needed, and study your ass off for every interview.
And I'm gonna pause it right there. Shout out to my guy Kyrie. I got to get him on the show this year. I need to actually text him after this. He is right. The interviews I feel I did the best on, I prepared for them. I looked up stuff I wasn't too familiar with. I hadn't did a long time. Looked up stuff that the company was dealing with, acquisitions, all these different things. So I could be comfortable talking with them as if I'm in the meetings with them all the time. You got to prepare. We see that. I was talking about football earlier in the beginning. All the people that have a lot of success, they prepared for it. So this is definitely how you cap in an interview for sure. So salutes on that one.
I need you to treat every interview like a final exam. And what happens is most interviews in the governance, risk, and compliance space aren't as difficult as they might seem to be if you're looking for, interview questions or something like that online. And because you're over prepared for the interview, once the interview starts and once you start to get into a conversation with the people that are interviewing you, you're going to have that confidence because you'll be able to kind of like pull different knowledge from what you've been studying and almost like show off your expertise or your knowledge without them even having to explicitly ask you about different concepts in the GRC space. The second thing is you want to look at the skills that are in the job description, and you want to make sure that you can draw from your experiences and highlight times where you've had to use some of the skills that are in the job description.
This is a big one that I've seen people deal with or struggle with, because when people are trying to get jobs, if you don't have enough stories that you can pull from, that can hinder your ability to sometimes land these higher paying roles because you don't have enough stories at your jobs. So when I'm having consultations with people and we're looking at their resumes, hey, what are some things you accomplished? What are some things you did? It's not enough just to take the cool words in the job description and throw them in your resume if they don't see them used in your job description. But then going further, once we get into the interview, how do you talk about those things? Have you done them? How are you making yourself stand out by doing those? So he's absolutely right in that. If you can't pull from that, it makes it harder for you. It makes it nervous. It's like, let's say this is easy stuff. When I was talking about the third-party breaches, hey, tell me about the time you work a complex incident, or hey, you're working alone and there's an incident. What would you do? If you never had to do those things, you might get a little bit nervous, but if you've been working on call by yourself at night shift and that's like normal to you, okay, hey, I'm working night shift. I follow my protocols. The moment I know it's an incident, I get my management involved. And now I start the process for incidents. So I set up a bridge, I start up the communications, I send the page duties out, and I'm getting everybody we need to on the call. And you can just start from there. So he's definitely right.
Because they're going to ask you when was a time when XYZ, and you want to be able to basically incorporate skills that are needed to do the job and basically correlate those skills with your previous roles. The last tip will be to speak slowly, slow down, give yourself some time to actually think about how you want to answer questions. This is the definition of poise. You're not supposed to feel rushed in an interview. There's no like time limit on, how fast you have to answer the question. Ask follow-up questions if you need to be sure that you're understanding the question correctly, right? These are all things that are going to be beneficial to you when you're talking to customers and when you're talking to other internal stakeholders at the organization. Another thing is, don't be afraid to be expressive. Don't be afraid to use your hands when you're explaining a concept or elaborating on a thought that you had, right? This comes off as confident. This comes off as, I know what I'm talking about. There is an entire realm of communication that is nonverbal. Now, obviously, none of this stuff really matters if you don't have the technical expertise or the knowledge to be able to speak to actually being able to do the job. But the CAT methodology is going to actually separate you from a lot of your competition, especially when we're talking about the technology space, the cybersecurity space. One of the major points that I hear in interviews across my career is that a lot of people that are in the technology space don't have the social skills and the soft skills to be able to, where your manager can have confidence in you to explain something to upper management or to get on a phone with the customer and resolve a problem. So remember, CAT, it stands for confident, assertive, and poised.
Yo, he killed that. He's always killing it. Like, I stay bringing his stuff on here, but no, he's right. And I think one of those big pieces you're talking about, like slow down and talk. I listen to sometimes my clients in their interviews or screenings. They're very eager to talk sometimes, but I'm like, okay, you got to figure out how to dial it back and have that right level of communicating back and forth with people when you're talking, and just kind of slow down and think about answering what they asked you. Sometimes people start talking and they didn't even answer what was asking them. So definitely, I agree with that. Sometimes my hands are right here, but then, right here, I'm talking with my hand. So it depends. Like, I'm looking at the camera right now. So you definitely, I think this makes you seem like you're a little bit more confident. It's also more engaging. And people are thinking about, okay, if I had him briefing up for management or he's in a meeting, he's going to talk with his hands. He's going to do this. So he's absolutely right. Like I said, if you are nervous, you probably didn't prepare enough. And granted, there are sometimes it's hard to prepare because in job descriptions, we have seen that they are lumping 2 and 3 different type of roles into roles. Like, I remember I recently got reached out for another position and I seen what they wanted to do. I was like, man, this is really like 2 different roles. I was like, this role should pay this. So that's something that we didn't really get into in this episode. This is a shorter episode. I just wanted to talk to y'all and kind of go through some things I was thinking about. If you did enjoy the segment where I was on LinkedIn and I kind of showed you guys how to navigate that, if you need more help with like help with that and you're not getting interviews, book a call, man. My link is in the description. If you need some exclusive coaching, I got you. Like I'm saying, we getting people hired in 2025. If you follow me on Instagram or stories or YouTube, you already know. You see me, I always posting my client wins. And this is always right after like something happening. So I appreciate everybody for rocking with me. It's been another episode of Textual Talk. And like, join the Discord, subscribe to the mailing list. And as I always say, let's stay textual and we out. Peace.